guess I should pick up the pace. Oh no, he's here. Okay, I heard the ravens, and you know, the feeder and Drake was around the corner, so I just gave it a little sprint. But it's okay. Now I gotta check what's in there. I'm pretty sure there's some bullshit again, but probably just a different variation on another school meal. Although it was weekend, so probably they're running short on leftover food, but they'll have plenty this week as the school resumes. Ideme da rikupati. But yeah, good boy. Good boy. All right. Well, as you can see, check it out. There was a frost this night. One of the last frosts of this season, I would say. There's supposed to be a couple more. I think next night and the night after, I think. And then it's gonna go back to 20s and to higher temperatures. I don't think it's gonna come back because it's almost end of April and there is rarely any frost in May. Although I remember one time a severe frost that occurred, and I believe it was like June or something. It was crazy. One morning on one of like, it was an ornithology, a sort of ringing event. Not a public one, but I was there. I was invited, and it was east from the capital, close to a very large pond, and there was a ringing session there, or like ringing event that happens every year there in the reeds. And it's like a traditional sort of event. It's been happening there for like decades maybe now. And it was, I believe it was either June or even July or maybe even August, something like that. It was definitely summer, like peak of summer. And I remember waking up and everything was frozen. Everything, like it was incredible. Everything was crispy frozen. And I've never ever witnessed that before and after. That was just crazy. Yeah, that was something. Really, it was a frost in, I think it was July or August even. So things like that can happen. And that was, I think that was about 7 years ago, roughly. So yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes things like that can happen, and yeah, but I believe like these are the last frosts of the year. I mean, until of course autumn and winter comes again, but yeah. And I'm kind of hoping the things in our garden, like some plants and vegetables that we planted, didn't freeze and will not freeze, hopefully. Like the tomatoes I talked about in the greenhouse. I'm gonna check them later today. Good boy. And we got some, good boy. We got some cucumbers outside. That apparently you can't plant cucumbers with tomatoes, which I didn't know. So we put them outside. So yeah. Those are probably the most vulnerable. I'll see if they're make it or not. And yeah. Anyway, the harvester there on the other walk, on like the other round that we were making every other day, it's been doing a lot of work, and it's pretty crazy what they've done there. And you're gonna see it tomorrow. And I just don't get it, you know. It's peak season and they're just wrecking the forest left and right, felling down trees and really doing a work in such a insensitive manner. If you look at the trees, they're all like, it's as if there was a child inside that harvester and like just like racking up stuff, you know, kind of like, that's how it feels like. It's very insensitive, very unprecise, and very messy, to be honest. And I think it might be because the forest is quite dense. There's a lot of trees everywhere, like smaller trees and larger trees, like all mix of all sorts of trees mixed together, very closely together. Oh, that's a black cat. Very beautiful. Yep, that right there. Beautiful black cap. So there is not much of a space to move around for the harvester, you know. So maybe because of that, it looks very messy, because the harvester is huge. It's still not the largest harvester. It's kind of a medium to small size harvester, but still large, too large for a space like that. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe it's because of that, because they don't have much space to maneuver, so they have to wreck the place up first, and then they can do more precise work. I don't know. Or maybe they just don't give a shit, because honestly, doing a hard forestry work like this in peak spring, I think that's pretty inconsiderate and shitty. And actually, I think it should be illegal. I'm not quite sure about the legislation there, but you shouldn't do those things, you know, like pruning hedgerows and all that, because they're nests of birds and they're nesting, they're sitting on eggs and sometimes even already feeding chicks, and that can majorly negatively impact them, you know. So you don't do that kind of work, you know. You do that in autumn, you do that in winter, very early before spring starts, but not in like this season. I mean, like, that's a peak spring right now. So yeah, but I mean, it's a privately held forest, so I guess, I don't know, I think legislation should apply to privately held forests too. It should apply to everything, but I guess not, because they sure don't give much of a crap, wrecking it up there like nothing like nothing is going on. Yeah, well, I was just a little upset yesterday when I was walking in there, and I see there was a tree that we used to work out at, you know. There was a branch we used to hang out and sort of, you know, do pull-ups and all that, and they broke that branch and they grazed it. It's a young oak, it's a very nice tree. They broke the branch, just broke it, you know, just like twisted it and broke it, and they grazed the tree on its base a lot. They made a large bruise down to the tissue below the bark, you know, right onto the fresh wood, a giant scar, and that's just it, you know. I mean, I don't know if the tree's gonna make that, like if it's gonna overcome that, but that's most likely, they could kill the tree, you know. And it's like, I don't know, 15-year-old, at least 15-year-old oak. It's pretty shitty, you know. I don't like, I'm not saying they made it on purpose, but I don't know. I guess they're seeing trees just like sort of articles, you know. It's not like a living being. It's more like an article that you can burn and make your house warm, or sell and make money, I guess. But yeah, it made me quite upset yesterday. because I had a little bit of a connection with that tree, you know? I mean, it was allowing me to work out for so long, and now it's damaged and injured. Well, oh, and I was checking the tree where the cavity is, and they didn't touch it yet, you know? I mean, so that was, you know, at least that, although I'm not sure if they done it on purpose or if just missed that tree, because I doubt they're the type of people that would just look up and say, oh, there's a nest, or oh, there's a nesting cavity, let's not fell that tree. But hopefully, fortunately, they didn't fell it, it's still there. So the nuthatches, oh, there's deer. There's deer, yeah. And we just went through the brambles, right? Yeah, if there is an incentive of a chase, then he can go through anything he wants. But please, God, no, if there is no incentive, then he cannot cross a single branch of a bramble. That's too much of a task, too much of a sacrifice to ask. But if there is an incentive of an animal that he can chase, then give me all the brambles in the world and I'll go through them. It's like he was chasing this one rabbit for, oh, God knows, I don't know, for an hour maybe. He got lost in the forest, and I got back home, and when he came back, he was full of thorns, like everywhere, like thorns in his skin, you know. I was pulling out thorns for like 3 days straight, you know. It's like finding thorns all over his body. So he's like he hates brambles, and he's afraid of them, and he doesn't want to cross them. But if there is a rabbit, then brambles don't exist, you know. It's funny. Anyway. Oh yeah, that, by the way, hear that? That is one of the calls of a chaffinch, Fringilla calyps. They make 3 different calls, or maybe they have like some more, but these are 3 major calls they make. So the song, the classic one, very easy to learn. Then they make a sort of a ping, 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 and then they make this, which is in Czech it's called rain call, but I believe it's called like that even in English. It's a rain call, and essentially I don't know how it was created or how it was dubbed the rain call, but you know, there is a theory, and I don't think it was proven, and I don't think it's actually that how it is, but then they make this call when it's like when the weather's changing, and it's like maybe the barometric pressure or something, and it's supposed to like it's followed up by a rain, but I don't think that's the case really. I mean, often you hear this rain call and it's beautiful day. Oh, have you heard that? It's a chiff-chaff. This. Yeah. So that right there is a firecrest followed by a gold crest. Wow, that's awesome. That's a firecrest? That was a crow? That was a crow? That's a firecrest? And that was a gold crest in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. It's very faint. That was a gold crest. And this is a firecrest. That was a gold crest, and it was overlapped by a firecrest. Yeah, like they are singing both at the same time. Wow, they're singing at the same time. I've never heard that before. That's firecrest. And there was a goldcrest. And there was a firecrest again. They're very close. I don't know if you can hear them because really it's very... But the firecrest is pretty loud, but the goldcrest was kind of fainter. So again, I'm not sure if you could hear it. But as I was saying, the firecrest has a straight sort of song that goes from here to there. And it's a straight line. It starts somewhere and goes up. It's like, you know, and that's it. And the goldcrest is kind of like, it's like it goes like that, and it's kind of, I imagine a wheel. I always imagine a wheel sort of like but it's the same high-pitched call, very, very high-pitched, very faint, very, very sort of very quiet, but it's got a different sort of audio visual shape, you know, like, so firecrest and goldcrest is it just sounds different. And I remember that the way that the firecrest is more like intricate visually, but it got a less intricate song, and goldcrest is sort of less intricate visually, but it's got more intricate song. So it's like they switched places when it comes to the song, really. And it's like in Czech the name is well, the second name is common for goldcrest. It's common, whereas for the firecrest it's like fiery, you know. So that's how I remember. It's like, okay, the song that sounds uncommon is actually common, and the song that sounds common is actually the fiery one. So I know it might sound complicated, but to me it just made sense, and I remember that way in my head. So those were both, these two guys were singing at the same time, which was cool. And actually I believe firecrests are competing with goldcrests, and they're they're kind of sharing similar habitats, very similar or almost the same identical habitats, and I wouldn't say identical habitats, but very similar habitats, you know. And firecrests were actually not present in the Central Europe at such high numbers as they are in the recent time. And I believe over the past decades, because of the climate change, I assume, the population increased a lot, and they are actually pushing out the populations of goldcrests, who are simply not as fierce and as aggressive as firecrest. And I mean, if you look at them, they do look, I know, I mean, it's just visual and it's our perception of it, you know, but there truly are more aggressive ones, and they even look the part. If you check them out, they really look like bikers, or like, I don't know, like, yeah, like I always seen them as bikers, or like some badass you know, dudes. And they really not just look the part, they really are more fierce, more aggressive, more sort of more, I was just checking out the whole more sort of territorial. So they're pushing out the goldcrests, and they're taking their sort of territories and habitats. So nowadays, I don't recall how it was when I started, which was about 8 years ago, but I believe I have not heard that many firecrests like I do now. It's true. So when you walk out in the forest, the most of the crests you hear are the firecrests, and the goldcrests actually, I believe, are moving northernly. You know, they're moving to the north, to the more elevated habitats in the foothills and in the mountains. So I think there's this happening. So the firecrests are sort of moving in from the south to a more northern part, and taking territories of the goldcrests, and goldcrests are shifting and moving up more northernly and more to the north. So that's what's happening. And that right there could have been a territorial battle, you know, when they were singing together. They were kind of taking maybe Firecrest was taking a Goldcrest territory or vice versa, I don't know. But yeah, that was an interesting sort of duet right there. And that rain call, yeah, that was a chaffinch, and that's like a very specific call that it makes very often. And I mean, you know, look at the weather now. I mean, you know, a rain call when it's totally not overcast and it's unlikely to rain. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's gonna rain in 2 hours, but I think it was just dubbed this way, you know, rain call. Maybe it was coincided with many times with the changing weather, maybe. So they called it rain call. But yeah, that's one of the very specific calls made by chaffinch that you've heard there. And yeah, and that's about that. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was the one, but I don't hear it anymore. You know, the crested tit, I'm always looking out for it, looking where we can hear it or see it, but I always hear it on my own when the camera's not on, you know. I heard it many times, but we haven't heard it yet but like properly on one of those walks here. So yeah, oh, we're gonna come across it for sure. Yeah, wow, it's pretty chilly, but it's nice. The sun is warming up my back, but I got very, very cold hands. It's very, very chilly. Yeah, but it's supposed to get a whole lot warmer in the upcoming days. Still tomorrow and the day after tomorrow is going to be cold, but towards the Thursday, Friday, it's going to get back to the spring and it's going to get warm again. And we're going to resume with spring. Oh yeah, by the way, there's the harvester. So you can check it out. I'm not sure what it's going to be tomorrow, but it moved. Yesterday was elsewhere. So they're working on it. Clearly. Actively. Yeah. That's the harvester right there. So it's not that big, but it's still a pretty large son of a bitch. And the forest is really dense, you know, so that might explain the sort of, you know, sloppiness of the job they're making or they're doing. So yeah, that's the harvester. We're gonna see where it's gonna be tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm gonna show you what they did, because we're gonna walk through there. So you can check it out. Yeah. Anyways, that was today's walk. And I'm going to sign off now.